What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, I'm going to give my review of The Strain, Season 4, Episode 1, titled As the Worm Turns. Okay, so The Strain is a show that I've watched since it aired. And when I heard about it and I started reading about this Guillermo del Toro developed show, I went out, I read all the source material. It's based on some books. The books are pretty good. Honestly, I like the idea of it all more than I like the execution. The book too, to an extent. But definitely with the show, I feel like it's been executed poorly, in my opinion. It's been executed along the lines of how I say Fear the Walking Dead has been executed, with poor casting choices, really poor directing, not the strongest show running, and good writing sometimes. Most of the time the writing seems weak and lazy. The dialogue is very campy at times. And, that's to a fault. That reminds me of a show that should be on NBC, CBS, Fox, not a show that should be on FX or AMC or, any of the paid cable networks. You get what I'm saying? So I'm up and down on The Strain. I do really enjoy a lot of it, but then there's a lot of it where I'm like, oh, I can't stand it. With that being said, the start of season 4 is a strong one. I think this might be the best episode of The Strain yet. I mean all around, not just in what happens or the way the story is the point of the story we're at, but I mean all around. I feel like the acting has gotten better, even if only slightly. I felt like the writing was not nearly as lazy in here. The dialogue was still a little, iffy at points, but better. I honestly think I enjoyed this episode more than I enjoyed any episode of The Strain thus far. There has been a few standout ones. The one where we get Quinlan's backstory was a really good episode. So there has been some standouts. But this is definitely up there in the best episodes. It took a story right from the book that I thought they were gonna not do, and that's the whole nuclear winter thing, and the son being the cause of that, him being the one that presses the button. That's the way it happens in the book, and I thought it was impactful the way it was handled. Now, if they had a stronger actor, or if they were directing him better, I thought it would have been way more impactful. Corey Stoll's performance is really the performance that makes that scene stand out. Definitely 100%. So that was good stuff there. As always, Satrakian was good. The stuff they're doing with him. Having the rich dude, I'm sorry his name escapes me, get infected with the master. I expected them to go a different route with it. You know what I mean? But I guess it makes sense. Just the actor who plays that guy, his name just is escaped me. It's gonna bother me too. The actor who plays him, really went a little too over the top in being possessed by the master. When the rock star was the master, he was, I think, the most believable in his portrayal. It wasn't too over the top, and it wasn't too ridiculous. It didn't feel so campy. When this dude, it feels way too over the top, way too campy, and I didn't like it at all. I'm not saying I don't like the idea of him being the one to be infected. I like that idea, but I just don't like the way that the actor portrayed it. Whether it was the direction or the actor's choices, I didn't care for that at all. I always like Satrakian, I said that. I always like Fett. Even though I feel like the stuff with him and Dutch and, and Corey Stoll, Efren, I felt was, I don't know. I don't know if it's the way it's written, the way it's handled, or if I just don't like that love triangle there, but I don't like it. And it's not because it's not in the books. That's not it at all. I'm totally fine with them changing stuff, adding stuff, whatever. I'm totally okay with that. As long as the core of the source material is there, But I don't really like that whole dynamic. And I don't know, it weakened Fett to me. it made Fett, where I think it was supposed to make him a more interesting character, it made him a less interesting and less likable character by throwing him in that storyline for some reason. I don't know, maybe just because it doesn't feel organic. But the Corey Stoll's performance in this episode was definitely the best I think he's done on this show. Not that he's been bad. He has really, really strong moments on this show. Last season, he really stepped up his game big time, and he was really good all last season. Before that, he had, a couple episodes where he may not have been all that great. But he really, really did a good job this episode, So we have the whole nuclear winter, and then now we have, the monsters rising from beneath, And at first I was like, oh, they're just going to stand around and watch the nuclear, thing, and they're not going to get affected by the radiation, the fallout, and all that. That's stupid. That's where I thought they were going. But then they make the comment, Fett's like, unless you guys want to be glowing, we got to get out of here soon. And I really, really like that. Now it's a flea for not safety from the vampires, but safety from, the nuclear fallout. Now that's awesome to me. Unless they do a time skip, it's going to be a little unbelievable when they do resurface. But who knows? Maybe they'll spend a good portion of the season underground in the sewers. I can't really comment on that. So I really hope they handle it well and they don't just make it one and done. After one episode, that's it. No more nuclear fallout. Let's go up above and we'll be fine. I hope it doesn't go that route. I hope we start to see some sort of mutations, because we all know radiation does that. And vampires are extremely resilient, so they may be able to survive the fallout. But I can't imagine they're going to go through the fallout and not be changed in some way. So that's going to be really interesting to see. I'm really excited to see where this goes. Unfortunately, they waited too long to get to the good stuff, and now the series is ending because they weren't getting the good ratings. I mean, I know they always wanted to do I think a 4 or 5 and out, but I think if they would have went with the nuclear fallout by season, the end of season 2, and had us go through season 3 and 4, I think we could have got 6, 7 seasons of really interesting stuff from the show, because now it turns from an apocalyptic story about monsters to an apocalyptic story about nuclear fallout and monsters and what the nuclear fallout can create with those monsters. I think that's a very interesting thing. And unfortunately, I feel like we're going to end right when the story starts to get its most interesting and its most engaging. I really think they should have went with the apocalypse stuff early. I get it that season 1, they didn't want to get to the apocalypse stuff yet. I get that. That's cool. But I think by season 2, we should have been kind of in more of an apocalyptic feel. Instead of waiting until season 3 to give us more of that apocalyptic feel, and then we're really not getting the apocalyptic feel until this season. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get a lot of that to come. So now that they don't have to worry about getting renewed and all that, maybe they'll take more chances. Maybe it'll be more risks, scarier, gorier, a little bit more realistic. Hopefully we'll get that now that it's the last season and they don't have to worry about being saved, but for another year. So look, I liked it. I thought this was the best episode yet. Let me know what you guys think down below about The Strain season 4 episode 1. Sorry, the review's a little all over the place. My reviews are usually all over the place for the first one for some reason. I don't know, until I get into a groove of that show. My first 1 or 2 are always a little choppy. But let me know what you think about my review down below, or what you think about this episode, or The Strain in general, the source material, the show. Let's just try not to spoil any of those big revelations that happen in the book, because anyone who hasn't read the book, I don't want them to be spoiled down there either. Alright, so that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Always appreciate it. You guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time.